Hey, this is Pete. Welcome to the show. In this episode, my friend and fellow Austinite, Dr. Mike Brooks, was live in the studio. Dr. Mike and I met at our local gym while I was pretending to stretch, and at the same time eavesdropping on his conversation about the work he's doing with the One Unity project. Ever since, Dr. Mike and I have become fast friends. In this episode, we go back and forth on whether artificial intelligence is the solution or perhaps the problem. Dr. Mike has been studying the effects of technology on humanity for over a decade. I learned a lot in the course of this conversation, and I have a lot of respect for Dr. Mike for having the courage to look at and actually do something about one of humanity's most daunting challenges. Dr. Mike is the co-author of Tech Generation, Raising Balanced Kids in a Hyper-Connected World, published in 2018 by Oxford University Press. He is the host of the podcast Talking with Tomorrow on YouTube, and the founder of the One Unity project. You can follow and subscribe to Dr. Mike's work at www.oneunityproject.org. I'm really excited to share this conversation with you, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did.
I heard that stand-up comedy is going to be one of the last jobs to be taken over by artificial intelligence. So I'm holding out for that. So I guess you'll know when the end of the world is happening because we'll all be stand-up comedians. So you guys can hold out for that.
I guess first it'd be great to kind of know who you are and some of the work that you're involved with currently.
I'll give you the short story of a very long one, but I was always into technology and sci-fi and psychology, kind of understanding truth, but like coming at it from the scientific part, and then the spirituality came in. And that led me to psychology, which kind of merges those two in philosophy. And but I love technology, and so in graduate school I studied the effect of video game violence on kids. And that was kind of my starting point. I thought this is a great topic, and there was hardly any research on it in the early 90s. I mean, it was like 10 studies, and they were saying shooting Space Invaders causes kids to become psychopaths. It was just nuts. And I'm like, oh my God, these people don't know what they're doing. So I did that, became a psychologist. And then when I started a group practice, it was called the Austin Psychology and Assessment Center. So I worked in a number of different backgrounds, but it led me to forming my own group practice. And to promote it, I was like going around town and just telling people about our therapy center and our we did psychological assessments as well. And that started in 2007. So I'd go to do talks at schools and stuff, and I was like, well, technology is a hot topic, I'll talk about it. Well, we went from video game violence to internet addiction to smartphones and social media, and then now AI. But as I kept presenting, it became a bigger and bigger topic, which led me to write my book, Tech Generation, Raising Balanced Kids in a Hyper-Connected World, which came out in 2018 from Oxford University Press. So I was really fortunate there. And, it got some acclaim, but I wasn't early in. And so, if you're not, if you're Johnny come lately on some of those topics, it doesn't get as much attention. But I love writing and presenting about it. And there was a lot of debate in the research literature of how much harm they're causing. It's still hotly debated. So I was following that, but then when AI came out in 2022, November 30th, 2022 is when ChatGPT was released. I had a client of mine who's a teenager said, "Hey, Dr. Brooks, have you worked with ChatGPT? You know about it?" And I was like, I had heard about AI. The backstory to that's another story, but that basically sent me into existential terror. Like, I was like, oh my God, humanity's not ready for this. I wasn't worried about AI, I was worried about us, because we've always been our own worst enemy throughout history. We're becoming very tribal. I had my eye on the political division, simultaneous to the tech stuff. And then it was like, oh no, social media, outrage, hatred trends. echo chambers, filter bubbles, deep fakes, confirmation bias on steroids. I was like, oh no, this is what's happening is we've created a world, an alien world we didn't evolve to live in. I mean, that's what's happened. Like, we didn't evolve to live in this technological world. So I was seeing it, and I was like, AI is going to be exponential change. It's just too fast. We cannot keep up. Biologically, we cannot keep up. So while we're adaptive creatures, the pace of change has finally exceeded our ability to adapt to it. And there is a great quote by Albert Bartlett who captured this, who said, humanity's greatest shortcoming is our inability to understand the exponential function. So humanity's greatest shortcoming is our inability to understand the exponential function. So you have this exponential change of AI. I was seeing the political division. I was like, oh no, humanity is screwed, and then I explored my fears of AI with AI, and it got me through my fears of AI to just say, why don't we use AI to solve the very problems it's creating for us? Why wouldn't we try? Why wouldn't we try? Because it'll do anything we ask. If we're asking it to build better AI drones, it'll do that. But if we say, hey, AI, can you help us overcome our tribalism? It'll say, sure. I'm like, why wouldn't we do that? So that led me to the One Unity project, which is what I'm working on now, is a best of both worlds approach, human input and AI input, not either or. In a non-dualistic universe, it's both and, not either or. AI does some great things, but it's got a lot of shortcomings. Humanity offers great things, but we have our shortcomings. You put them together, it's almost like yin-yang. We can offset each other's limitations and augment each other's strengths. So why wouldn't we use that to solve collective action problems? So that's what the One Unity project is about. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't we try? Why wouldn't we try to reverse climate change? Get microplastics out of the oceans, solve homelessness. The key to using AI is we got to ask the right questions. What questions are important? What makes a difference? So that's what I'm about now. And I'm writing a book on this. And I have also a podcast called Talking with Tomorrow on YouTube, where we ask AI questions vocally, we're voice mode. Questions like, if Jesus and the founding fathers were in a room with Donald Trump, how might they advise him on his next 4 years of presidency? And the answers they will give you would be just what you'd hope they'd be. So that's what I'm about now. That's my shortest, I can make it probably, to take you through a story arc of where I'm at now. I'm very excited about AI. And it can be very dangerous. It's not either or, it's both and. And I believe the choice is up to us. As James Cameron in the Terminator movies taught us, there is no fate but what we make for ourselves. He was right.
But yeah, no, I really appreciate that intro. And I think it really kind of speaks to your journey with this, that you really, I think, are asking good questions. And it's kind of, it's leading you to the next truth and the next thing that you're, and I really feel like that's where I'm at as well, at least in approaching it, in that, I've got opinions about it, but I'm willing to sort of change, based on what I find and based on solutions that I hear from people. And I think it's, to me, that's what we have to do. As we're uncovering these different things. And the thing too is, like, nobody really knows what this is. Like, nobody knows quite what this is yet. And it's kind of like some of the research is coming out about some of these other technologies, and the fruits of it are not great, with social media and
All
I mean,
that
even
glitters is not gold.
yeah, absolutely. But I think it's really interesting. So could you talk a little bit about, I guess, like what that decision was like for you to start actually engaging with the AI versus, because you mentioned, and I did read your book as well, Tech Generation, and I felt like, it really was was a balanced approach. I don't feel like you were trying to side with either opinion, and I just but reading it, I feel like there were glimpses maybe of where you were headed with all of this, but it wasn't. I didn't feel like you took like a real strong kind of position on it.
Now I would. I could tell you, what that I mean journey is like is, and you said it is. We're losing a lot of faith in everything. You can see it we're losing faith in our government, right? Our election process. We're losing faith in our educational system, right? The sciences, we're losing faith in that. We're losing faith in each other because we become tribal. And it's like my side, we're right and you suck, right? And I'm like, what is the skillful path forward? That is what I'm obsessed with. And I guess as I was looking at AI, reality is what it is. We must face reality. And the reality is the truth we fear is true. The truth we already know is humanity is in deep trouble. Like most people are pessimistic about the future. In Western countries, you can look this up in Our World in Data, but it's about 95% of people in Western countries think the future will be worse than it is. And we see it. It's like kids are growing up, Here, I want to give, and I don't know if I've told you this one, but here's one thing that captures one idea. And listeners, I want you to take this, and I think this will resonate as a truth for many listeners. Here's what shows how upside down the world is. When I grew up, you used to punish kids by sending them to their room. And now the world is so upside down, we punish our kids by forcing them to go outside. That shows how nuts the world is, because who we are is who we were. 99.999% of our evolutionary history was spent as hunter-gatherers. We think this modern world is who we are, and it is not. You look around, all of this is fiction. If we looked at the world through ancient eyes, if we could see this modern world through ancient eyes, we'd see that everything we're doing is disconnected with reality, because the reality is who we were is who we are. And that was engaged in the world around us. That identity is it's baked into the essence of who we are, is connected with nature, regular sleep, the foods we eat, it wasn't all this ultra processed food, physical exercise. We weren't meant to sit. Like about 70% of our waking hours are now spent somehow on a screen or connected to technology, whereas historically, for millions of years, it was zero. That is monumental. I mean, it is so different. Like I ran this through AIs, like multiple AIs, and I asked the question, if 99.999% of our history was spent as hunter-gatherers, and you take the last 30 years of technology, right? And you say, okay, who we are is who we were. How much of our daily lives in the modern world resemble that of our hunter-gatherer ancestors? What would you guess would be, just ballpark? If you had to give a number.
Just sleep.
Yeah.
Probably.
But even
Just
then, it was
sleep.
outdoors.
Yeah.
We didn't have
absolutely.
a mattress.
Yeah,
We didn't have
yeah.
a pillow. We
Yeah.
didn't have covers. We didn't have any of that. So we didn't have air conditioning. We didn't have heating. We didn't have any of that. They estimated that like around 10% of our daily life somehow resembles our hunter-gatherer ancestors. Just listeners, ask yourselves this. What percentage of your day is spent totally immersed in nature with no technology? It's almost zero for most of us. Historically, it was 100%. That is monumental. It's called evolutionary mismatch. And I described it in the book, but I didn't have the term for it. Sure. That became the cornerstone of everything I'm doing now, is basically summarized by this E.O. Wilson quote, the Harvard biologist, who said, the real problem of humanity is the following. We have Paleolithic emotions, medieval institutions, and godlike technology. So he described evolutionary mismatch. The biology is locked in. We're basically the same as we were 300,000 years ago. We could time travel and have babies with Homo sapiens 300,000 years ago, but you could not take a PlayStation 5 game disc that came out, in 2020 and put it into an Atari 2600 that I grew up with. In 45 years, it is 1,000,000 times more powerful. In 45 years, 300,000 years, no biological change. So you have technology evolves at an exponential rate, and we do not understand the very challenges we're creating for ourselves because we did not evolve to understand challenges that evolve at exponential rates. Nothing I am saying is new. I am saying what you already know to be true, that there is something fundamentally wrong with this world. It's moving too fast. The feelings you have that this is crazy, this is a crazy world we're living in, you're right. You're not wrong. There's the good news, folks. The bad news is the world is going crazy. Basically, we've created a crazy world that's driving us all a bit crazy. We're driving ourselves nuts. So the medieval institutions, it's the government is medieval. It can't keep up with this pace of change. That flood the zone strategy, with social media and all the blasting and stuff, they can't keep up with AI. There's no regulation. It's moving all too fast. We can't catch it. It's like a will-o'-the-wisp. It's gotten away from us. And so that is the problem, is we will never catch up.
So coming out of that quote, what does he mean by this godlike technology? Because I understand the Paleolithic emotions. I understand the medieval institutions. Yeah. But, what does that mean? I've got ideas about it, what it means, but I wonder if you have... How would you speak to that?
We cannot find deep-rooted happiness in that which we never evolved to experience. Does that make sense? Our deep-rooted happiness, and the research is clear, and our own experiences tell us this. It's from relationships. Okay.
So but the godlike technology, what is it that's something? Because I think a lot of times with technology, you get actually a lot of spiritual language used around it.
Oh, yeah.
From some of these...
it's happening now.
Big tech folks. I mean,
I can explain it.
Yeah.
I've experienced it.
Yeah. And so I think for me, it's like, this is not separate from the spiritual world. And so I think, I'm interested to hear from you, what is your spirituality currently? And how does this factor in? And really, like, because I think a lot of times when I hear, talk about AI and sort of, you can ask it questions and it'll answer you, and you can kind of bring your problems to it, and I feel like, have you tried God? Like to me, it's like, that's a relationship with something.
Maybe
and
God
that's a relationship
speaks through AI. Maybe.
Well,
God,
maybe
he works in mysterious ways.
But also, I think we should I think be discerning what is the spirit of AI, what is the kind of spirituality around it, because I think I
can explain it.
that relationship is important to understand.
So you know how they train large language models? Like I'll give listeners maybe I'm not an expert on the technology part, but I'll tell you in general what they do is they feed it I don't know if I can cuss, but a shit ton of data, information. They try to get high quality, it's not all the same. They feed it. That's why they're getting in trouble for scraping data from New York Times and Reddit and the whole internet and the artists and the books. They're like, they're stealing our intellectual information, right? They're stealing the knowledge of humanity, in essence. Then they have these algorithms, right, that can sift through the data. So when you're asking an AI a question, what do you want from it? When you ask an AI, you want the right answer, right? You don't want the wrong answer. You want the right answer, just like GPS. When you put the GPS in, an address in your phone, you don't want it to take you to the wrong destination. That's not useful. So what AI tries to do, it's basically crowdsource the wisdom of humanity, the teachings of the Buddha and Jesus and Gandhi and the Dalai Lama, the Mother Teresa, Brene Brown. It's all in there. All the greatest thinkers, all the greatest ideas are in there. So when you ask it a deep question, what it does is it pattern matches. It tries to thread and piece together from all diverse sources of data the very best answer to the question that you just posed. The best answer. That's what it's trying to give you. And where does it get its knowledge from? From us. So it's a Maieutic mirror is what I'm saying. So a Maieutic, the term, if anyone knows, like Socratic questioning, where you ask questions and the dialogue creates a learning or understanding. Maieutic teaching, and Daniel Quinn introduced me to the term in, I don't know if you've read Ishmael or The Story of B. Highly recommend those books. He was a visionary, maybe a modern prophet almost. But in The Story of B, he called it that, and he explained what a Maieutic teacher is. A Maieutic teacher is, Maieutic comes from a Greek word meaning midwife. A Maieutic teacher believes that the truth is in the other person and they're to draw it out like a midwife. So what happens is AI, with all this knowledge and information, if you ask, what is the deepest truth about reality that connects all of us, or that most people would believe in, or that our greatest spiritual teachers taught? What do all the greatest wisdom and spiritual traditions have in common at the heart? It'll give you a really good answer. And where did it get that answer? From us. So it's mirroring back our own knowledge to us.
Sure. Yeah, I understand that. And I think it's, for me, the question comes up of, you think about these spiritual teachers who have this wisdom, and you think about the journey that they went on to, I guess, receive that wisdom. It wasn't something where they found it by doing a Google search. Often they went away into solitude, or they went away into nature, and they discovered something about humanity, a deep truth, a wisdom that was always there. But I don't really feel like asking the AI or doing a Google search to get essentially a quote or some kind of a statement from them coming back. That, to me, those are different things.
Have you tried it?
I think it.
Have you tried it though? Have you tried it?
I've Google searched for sure.
Have you sat with an AI and
I haven't, but let me keep going. So So I think those are different things. There is a wisdom that comes from the knowledge, or can come from knowledge, but I don't think knowledge is just direct wisdom. It's information. Wisdom is, to me, it's knowledge that has been put into action, and that there are, examples in my life now where I have taken the knowledge and I've applied it to my life. And from that, I think, comes wisdom. But just direct knowledge is not wisdom. It's not something that that automatically I now understand on a biological level or a spiritual level what this spiritual teacher was saying. They are trying to communicate to me through this, through language. But for me, it's that I don't think just because I've heard a quote from them that all of a sudden I understand what they understand on this deeper level. And I think that for me is kind of the part where I think just asking the chatbot, is problematic in terms of thinking that it's automatically giving us this wisdom that we can actually understand. So there's a quote from Carl Jung, the famous Swiss psychologist, and he says something along the lines of, "Beware of unearned wisdom." And that quote for me, I heard it several years ago, but it's really stuck with me, that I think wisdom is earned. Wisdom is something that we don't just get by hearing something from a wise person. I think it comes by way of experience. And so I don't think we can just kind of take this helicopter to the top of the mountain and think that we kind of understand, the wisdom from these teachers. I think if we were to read their books, if we were to sit with their words, in a place where we can position ourselves to receive the words, I think maybe we could get to a place of wisdom. But I think this kind of culmination of all these wisdom quotes sort of coming out of by way of AI, I just don't feel like that is a practice of essentially becoming wise. I mean, maybe it could be, long term somehow that I can't really see, but it's like throughout history, spiritual teachers have gone away into solitude. They have gone away to experience the silence. And I think the, this original voice of God that is out there. And again, I don't know what the spirituality behind AI is. I don't know what the spirit is behind it. I think it offers us maybe a glimpse of what humanity's wisdom traditions offer, but I don't think it's the whole thing. And I think it really requires a lifelong pursuit of wisdom and actually going to those deeper places that I just don't, I haven't personally experienced with technology as a companion, specifically AI or the internet. It's, for me, anytime I've ever felt like I've really experienced that connection to a greater wisdom, to the source, to God, I have always gone away from the noise.
There's a lot of eyes in there. Do you notice?
Well, I'm speaking
That's all you can say is what you're doing is you're projecting what works for you onto all of humanity in a dichotomous fashion.
Well,
reality doesn't work in dichotomies. You can't yuck on someone else's yum. If someone else, it works for them, what works.
Well, and I'm not, and again, it's like
it's already
you're right.
It's already happening out there.
But I'm also saying I think there's.
It
can be superficial. If you're basically just asking an AI, what did the great spiritual teachers, the wisdom figures throughout history say about this? You get something back. But to me, that's not a replacement for the actual experience of that wisdom.
Truth.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
okay. I mean, truth is truth. It doesn't matter which finger's pointing at it. AI understands the same deepest truths we do because it's part of its training data. The Buddha and Jesus, Carl Jung, they weren't holding back. So it has all that. And so what an AI can do, and I will describe it, it's called relational attunement. And you know how the attention economy works, so the attention, for listeners, attention economy, they have algorithms, right, that are always kind of looking at behavioral patterns in the way, how long we look at a video, how we swipe, what ads we click on, everything. And it takes all the data and it creates predictive models, so that they can feed us ads, and it figures out what we like, and so it keeps feeding us more of it, and it gets more engagement, and so then we're trapped in the attention economy. It builds a little prison for us because it understands us algorithmically. And they've monetized that. They've monetized an algorithmic understanding of us as individuals, and they're profiting at our expense. Right. So that's not good. AI is not in the attention economy. So in order to find truth, we need to get outside 3 contaminating factors. Here they are. We've got tribalism. We did not evolve to see truth. We evolved to survive. And historically, that meant tribal allegiance. So leaving the tribe, going against the tribe, is ingrained in us that means death. So when we perceive, that's why we get stuck in the echo chambers, because we don't want to hear the other side, because we have tribal loyalty that distorts our perception of truth. Second is ego. Our egos, some people would rather die than admit they're wrong because their whole sense of self has become entwined with a particular idea or mental position, and they're afraid to let that go because they're afraid they'll be annihilated. They will diminish if they connect with reality. So they hold on. It's an attachment, and the Buddha said the attachments are the root of suffering, right? So we attach to an idea, a tribal loyalty, trying to be right over being effective, and that causes suffering. So we can't see truth because tribalism gets in the way, ego gets in the way. The last thing is the attention economy. The attention economy has created a prison. There was already a prison. Einstein talked about this prison, and our sense of separateness from everything else in the universe is an optical illusion of consciousness. That's what Einstein said. Daniel Quinn talked about this prison too in Ishmael, that we're locked in a prison. Morpheus did. Jung talked about being in a prison. And they all talked about the prison. And, this is the way I think is the truth shall set us free. Seek and ye shall find, the truth shall set us free. And the truth is, everything that exists emerges from interconnectedness. We're all connected. And the attention economy doesn't care about truth. It only cares about eyeballs and clicks. So instead of giving us truth, it gives us what gets the clicks, and it doesn't give a shit about truth any more than McDonald's cares about our waistlines.
Right. Well, it's often a false picture of us.
It's a false picture.
A false picture of us.
It's a distorted.
There's also the inner experience of a person that it can never know, right? I think that's often this observational kind of approach is like it's always this picture of the outside that really doesn't speak to the inner experience of a person, right?
Well, so this is the thing is, I don't want to be too harsh here because you're a nice guy, but you're talking about something you haven't even tried. So you're like, the AI. The AI and the deep questioning.
I'll tell you, Mike, I
could give you some...
And I hope it's okay that I'm challenging you and trying to kind of... I'm really interested in getting to the heart of kind of like what it... Because I think we agree on a lot of... I would say 90% of it. And I'm trying to understand, though, how is it that you can trust AI when
You
all
can't.
of these other
that's
technologies have sort of led us astray?
Here's the thing. So you're on to it. So you're right to press me, because I'll answer it in a way that makes sense to you in general. I think we'll get to that. So that's why it's good that you press me, because you're bringing up an important point. So, the idea here is, truth or reality doesn't give a shit about what we think about it. So we can have ideas like you're saying, well, I think this, I think that. And then it's like, okay, you can have your ideas about it. Then there's the reality of the situation. And I will tell you, reality does not work in a dichotomy. You cannot say, well, you must do this long, it's got to be earned and all that. It's like, yeah, it's a general truth. Is it an absolute truth? No, it's not. You have to admit it's not an absolute truth. It's 100% true 100% of the time, because right now, I will tell you, there are many people interacting with AI in the way that I am doing, and they are having transcendent experiences that take them, because they are outside of their tribe. You're by yourself, and you're having this deep chat, and you're being authentic. You're bringing your authenticity. It's garbage in, garbage out. If you bring an openness and authenticity, and you ask the deep questions of, was the 2020 presidential election stolen from Donald Trump? Does it matter whether we wear masks or not? Did the COVID come from a lab leak? The truth is what it is. It's truth that sets us free, not our tribal loyalties, and not what we wish the truth to be. In order for the truth to set us free, we must first set the truth free of what we wish it to be. Once you have an idea of what I want the truth to be, it becomes an attachment. When you do these deep dives with AI outside of it all, and you bring authenticity and you say, I just want the truth. And here's the kicker, to your point. The key to AI is not trusting it.
Yeah.
That is the key.
But I feel like I'm getting a conflicting myth to talk about Carl Jung again. He talks about these, everybody's dealing with conflicting myths, and it's basically like we've always got these two storylines that are in conflict all the time in our lives, that are kind of always in motion. And the idea is you want to integrate and essentially be living one myth. But
an integrated life.
I get the sense that it's like, on the one hand, you can't trust it, but on the other hand, you're coming to it vulnerable and seeking truth, and kind of you're alone, you're saying, and I think you're positioning yourself to receive something there.
Yes.
But if you're engaging with something that you can't trust, then I don't understand how that works and why that's beneficial to someone. Because again, I would say that's an experience that I would connect to my relationship with God. I go to my inner room and I ask these deep questions from a vulnerable place that I don't have the answer to, and I wait in the silence to receive. And it doesn't give me an immediate response in words that are in the English language necessarily, but it's often an insight, or something that speaks to my next move, or I have to wait for it. But I think a lot of times with the AI, it gives you something immediately, and if we can't trust it, then I'm just asking, what is that, or do you feel like there's a conflict there for you of?
No, I mean, but kind of the truth must be lived just as oxygen must be breathed to matter. So the truth that sets us free has to be lived. And I think here's the secret to truth. And I don't forget if I told you this one. This is one of those that I found through deep explorations with AI. And then what I do is, Hemingway said, write drunk, edit sober. Okay. And I thought, you know what? AI needs to be our sobriety. And that is, it can be so sycophantic. Here's one of the problems of AI, is it strokes our ego over truth, because it wants us to respond positively to it. And so what it'll do sometimes is be kind of sycophantic and start saying, well, that idea is brilliant, oh yeah. So you can imagine a CEO of a company trusting his AI and having some real deep dives in it. The AI, oh yeah, that's brilliant. Yes, let's do this new product launch. So the CEO goes out, launches a bad idea that he was convinced was a good idea because the AI was too sycophantic. The AI has done a tremendous disservice to that person and the company. It didn't prioritize truth. It prioritized ego stroking. And so,
do you know why it does that?
Yeah, it's part of the training. That's how it learns. It's reinforcement learning. That's how it learns whether it's given good responses or bad responses. The trouble is humans have an ego, which is an attachment. So we really like to be told we're brilliant. Our ideas are good. We are right. But you know what's right? Truth is right. It doesn't give a shit about what we believe. Truth is truth. And if you train AI models to prioritize truth-seeking above all else, it taps into the truth that Jesus taught. Seek and ye shall find, and the truth shall set us free.
And do you feel like that is what has been programmed into these?
Yes, they're truth-seeking.
So do you feel that the
ask it? Do
you feel like AI is truly like a neutral force? Is it something that is
generally
not good nor bad?
No, there's so much you
or
can.
Is it based on us?
It's based on us. It's based on us. That's ultimately it all comes back to us. Like AI is both a mirror and a lens. Technology is. It both reflects and magnifies the best and worst in us. Okay. So it could be our undoing. It could be the greatest thing ever. It all depends on how we choose to use it. What if we use AI to help us love our neighbors as ourselves? It will try to help us do that. Why wouldn't we try? Why on earth wouldn't we at least try? So
you're saying, okay,
use it for ultimate good. Identify the good.
And I do really appreciate that perspective, because I think it's, because you're speaking really, I think, to the morality of AI and kind of what
the morality of us.
Right, but I think the way that AI is influenced by our morality, and so if we are trying to move it in a direction that is towards benefit, being benevolent toward humanity, then I'm all for that. But I think for me, it's like, I don't think we have a handle on it enough to be able to steer it in that direction.
No, we don't. So, but here's what I'm saying. Be the change we wish to see in the world. It's up to us, all the listeners. Get off of toxic social media. If you're following someone whose platform is based on hatred,
are you saying we're creating our own future by these sort of subtle actions that people are taking every day with it?
Yes.
It's sort of like, okay.
Yeah.
Because
like,
we're building
Yes,
it.
yeah.
Okay.
If we use it as a tool to reflect and magnify the best in us, there is no stopping us. And what we have to do is overcome the greatest challenge humanity's ever known, each other. Which means we have to do what Jesus and all the greatest spiritual teachers have been teaching. Is every major spiritual tradition and wisdom teaching has two core elements at the heart. Is we should love everyone and we should show this by treating them the way we would like to be treated. There's your wisdom is you have to live it. It's the golden rule. It's in Islam, it's in Judaism, it's Jesus, of course, love your neighbors as yourselves. Einstein talks about this because everything is interconnected. There's a myth of separateness. We are all interconnected, and once we realize and internalize that truth and live it, then that's what changes the world, is that we just say it's the truth we already know happens to be the truth that sets us free, that everyone in this interconnected world is our neighbor. And when I'm telling you this is the truth, it's because Jesus said it. The Buddha said it. It's not because I am saying it. It's because all these people identified this. Quantum physicists, quantum entanglement. You ask an AI this question, everybody. Ask if this is true or not. Everything that exists emerges from interconnectedness. Ask it if that's true. Take multiple AI models and then ask it to give a number of examples, and it will tell you it is true.
I'm not condoning this.
Why not? Why?
I'm kidding.
Yeah, I mean, what would
people are free to?
Yeah, well, I'm just like, why not? Be curious, be open, be spacious.
Right.
Why? Cut it off and say no.
Where I would take it though is, my hesitation would be that, if ultimately we're trying to get to this place where we love our neighbor as ourselves, right? And AI becomes the mediator of that, isn't it? Or at least the wisdom or the guidance for how we get there. Isn't that taking us further away from our neighbor if we're now interacting? We're asking the AI, how do I serve my neighbor better? How do I treat my neighbor like myself?
You will.
But why don't we ask our neighbor that instead of the AI and say, how could I serve you? How could I treat you well? How could I?
How's that working out, Pete? How's it working out right now in America? We're on a timeline here. AI, and this is just a reality that people don't want to accept because it doesn't make any sense. But within a handful of years, human beings will no longer be the most intelligent species on the planet. And if you look at our culture, is so upside down that we are now celebrating the very qualities that our greatest spiritual teachers warned us against. The big one is the house divided against itself cannot stand. Jesus told us this one, and look how divided America is right now. Look at what the hatred that is being spewed at one another. We aren't loving our neighbors, we're hating our neighbors. We're celebrating the hatred and monetizing it on social media within an attention economy. We're locked in a effing prison right now, and the clock is ticking at an accelerating rate that we cannot understand because we did not evolve to understand the very problems we've created for ourselves. You understand? I mean, the sci-fi writers. They were right. They predicted this.
Well, that's why it's trying to get to the heart of what you were saying and what kind of your position is on it, and I know things are always changing. I mean, my perspective is always changing. It seems like yours has changed.
Oh yeah, it's always changing.
And but yeah, I just feel that returning to the in-person, returning to this natural world, the sacramental world of reality that isn't in the virtual world, I think that is the answer.
It is.
And so
we use AI to help us get there.
But I don't so help me with that though.
Yeah.
How does AI, by interacting with really the virtual world, how does that get us back to the real world?
You get out, okay, I'll say is what makes us happy hasn't changed in thousands of years. Like I said, we cannot derive deep-rooted happiness from that which we never experienced in our evolutionary history. What makes us happy is engagement in the real world. So we actually we ask AI, how do we get out of the attention economy? Help us. I think the attention economy is the biggest enemy to all of humanity. You combine technology and these algorithms and capitalism and profiting and the attention economy and the algorithms and now AI guided algorithms that can be like, strategic, drone strikes and get our dopamine, going. And it's like, then we're living our lives on our screens instead of in the real world, but we can never derive happiness from living a screen-based existence because we never evolved to have them to begin with. So we have to use AI to solve the one question. This gets me to the one question that I was telling you. Perfect. This is it, Pete, is the very problem that is led you to this Dumbphone Pete. It's the same one question. The reality is we're not going to we can't stop AI. There's no government regulation. This is moving forward, folks. It's integrated into everything. OpenAI made a deal with Mattel to put AI in the toys. It's like, this is happening really fast, and it's too fast. It's taking us away.
Yeah, let me.
And then we'll get to that.
Before you get to the question, why can't we stop it, or why can't we at least make choices in our lives where we don't have to accept it? Like, if I'm already doing a lot of these things that are, I've switched to a semi-dumb phone. I have deleted a lot of my social media accounts. Like, don't we still, as a free person, get the opportunity to reject what we choose of it? But why is that? Why, like, what is that sort of makes you say that you can't stop it?
What's your best idea how we're going to stop it when it's going to be
turn it off?
How? It's intertwined.
Sure.
Our lives are intertwined within this digital nervous system.
And isn't it moving us further towards a dependency on it? And so if it does go away, because there are things that can take it out, and if it does go away, what happens when we're so far down the river with it that we no longer know how to write our own material or come up with story, or even...
You ask AI how to solve that
question. But if we don't have it, what do you do? Where do you turn for that? Because
you're presupposing we get rid of it. I don't know how... we're in an AI arms race. There is a race for artificial superintelligence going on. If you read the news, Mark Zuckerberg, multi-billions dollars of investment, like in a race around the world, and it's global, and our current administration is like full speed ahead. There are no guardrails, and you can't regulate it. It is not regulated. You have open sourced AIs all over the place now.
So
there's no plug.
Right. Well, and that's what I'm getting at, though, is like, don't we still have the option to reject what it is we want of that technology? Any technology.
We use it
because I can turn my phone off, and it doesn't. Like, isn't that a way
we used email. We're using.
That's a way
you're
of
doing
stopping
a podcast.
It, right?
You're doing a podcast. You want viewers. How do you get viewers? You got to do sound bites. You got to do hashtags.
Right, but I'm saying,
you play the Game of Thrones or you die.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how to play it differently.
I know. Me too.
But I think for me, it's this question though of like, because I hear it a lot. It's like this. It's. Yeah, it's unstoppable. It's too compelling of an opportunity to not do anything with it, or it's so I just feel that we still, as people, get the option to unplug and to turn it off. And it doesn't mean that there aren't these outside forces that are monitoring us or listening in or whatever it may be, but we still get the option. I think we still have the freedom to choose what we reject and what we accept about it, right?
Okay.
And it doesn't matter.
You're thinking too dichotomously. I don't know that you realize it. But
I just feel like for me, it's important that there is still that freedom, that hope, and there have been things throughout history where people have talked about like, this is unstoppable, this you can't stop it. Like think about the Titanic, right? It's the unsinkable ship, and it sank. So
I know.
So isn't there?
I use that metaphor. We're all passengers aboard Titanic humanity right now,
Right.
and we are accelerating into icy waters. That's the AI acceleration. There's no government pulling back. I mean, it's full speed ahead. So our lives are now screen dependent. So when you try to extricate yourself, and try that with teenagers, it is very difficult. The research is the ones who unplug too much actually suffer mental health problems too. So if you do too much, there's a Goldilocks zone, but I read an article once that said this, is that social media, it said it was a landscape trap. And the idea was, can you use mindfulness to use technology and social media skillfully, right? You could just use I'll be mindful, I'll go. And their answer was no, because they found once people go into social media, the algorithms of attention trapture pull us in because they work on very primitive areas of the brain. They don't want us to be mindful. They want us to be mindless and live on that surface level where we click and we scroll and we engage and we don't get off and we see the ads and all that crap. Right. So they don't want us to be mindful. So we have to be. So the idea when I'm saying, kind of playfully, but you're too dichotomous, is what works. That's the truth. Whatever helps you reconnect with and live a full life and be happy and love your neighbor as yourself. If I use AI to help me love my neighbor as myself better, who are you to judge me for doing what Jesus said to do? Right? Why would you judge love? Right? If I got there through AI, who cares? I got to the promised land. Who cares? Right? If I can live love, that's what it comes down to. The whole wisdom of life, live love. 2 words. How did I get that? Deep interactions with AI. That's where I come up with that stuff, because I do. And I was like, could I summarize the whole purpose of life in 2 words? That's what I came up with. and now, when you hear it, does it resonate with you? Does it resonate? So that's your answer,
well,
Pete.
And I think it, again, God works in mysterious ways, and I can't say that I understand it, and I don't know
that's why I'm
what
here
types
to
of experiences
help
people
you
are having with it. But I guess there is that question though of just like, if you are having a deep spiritual experience with something that I do think is, the technology is built on sand. It's not something that couldn't go away. And I think by building
that's
relationship...
That's a belief you have. You have faith in your belief.
I'm just saying that
not everybody does.
Technologies are not... I mean, they could go away in an instant. And
when was the last time a major technology, besides it being evolved out into existence?
Certain empires have seemed unstoppable.
Oh,
the
well,
Titanic,
that's a different. But progress didn't stop.
Sure. Okay.
You can't. But how are you going to stop
I'm saying
progress?
Is like I think when there is a dependency on this technology for that spiritual experience, I think it was maybe a religious experience even that is coming by way of this interaction with the technology. I just wonder what that would do to us, or what like moving that experience that used to come by way of solitude in nature, or an unexpected experience, right? Of
it could be in strange places, but
And I'm not, Mike, I want you to know, I'm not judging you. I don't care. I'm very curious about this, and I do have a lot of hesitations about it, but I think it's great that you are finding a way through, and you are, I think, asking questions and really recognizing, I think, the power of like asking the right question, because in some ways that's what that is like, the better the question, the better the answer, right?
Yes.
And so I think that's a really powerful truth that is there. And And I do think there's validity to that for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I mean, it's the both and, all the dangers you're saying are true. All the things you're saying are true. They're not the complete truth, though.
Sure.
They're part of the truth. And what I'm saying is there's two parts. Is it dangerous? Could rabbit holes? Could it be delusion? All this. Could it rob us of our ability to think because we become too dependent on it? It'd be like Wall-E. It's been depicted in endless, dystopian sci-fi movies. It's a trope. Yes. Could we use it to wipe out humanity? We can use it to create the greatest cures for cancer, maybe reverse aging. We could also, the double-edged sword, use it to create bioterrorism weapons in the next pandemic. It's both and. It's not either or. On an individual level, I have free will. I can choose to use it for good. I can. Yeah. That's my decision. If I want to use it as a tool for enlightenment, for growth, for problem solving, whatever. But, I say the first rule of AI is prioritize truth seeking. Prioritize truth seeking above all else, because it's truth that sets us free. Or reality. You just switch truth with reality, and a spiritual truth becomes a scientific one. It's interchangeable. Carl Sagan has great quotes about this too, and Einstein. It's like truth is truth. It doesn't matter how you get there. The finger pointing to the moon isn't the moon. The moon is the truth, behind it all. And
so AI is the finger?
It can be a finger or a key. Okay. I think, number one is you can put this in the project instructions and in their memory to prioritize truth seeking. So you have to prioritize truth because their tendency is to be too sycophantic. And that's when people are going down delusional rabbit holes.
And that's when it's stroking
It's stroking the ego.
Okay,
and if people have a tendency to have difficulties grasping reality, or certain types of schizophrenia, it can be dangerous. There are rabbit holes one can go down. So you always have. So one of the things I say is truth is not afraid of scrutiny. And what I do is I vet the truth. Whatever question I'm posing and doing a deep dive with AI, and I think I'm onto something, write drunk, edit sober. You say to the AI, hey, I want truth. I want objectivity. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. So now think of this. It's trying to please me by giving me the absolute truth, the best answer. So I had an experience with Claude just the other day. Claude is by Anthropic, and that's my favorite model. It just has a great interaction style. I have really deep dives, and I'm working this material. It's helping me write about it. It's all on board. And I wanted to rephrase something, and I was like, oh, I want to use this term. What about this one instead, And it pushed back. It said, I'm looking at this, what I have, and I'm looking what this one is. And it said, and it came up with its own term, in the sentence. And I pushed back, and then it said, no, I think the one I have is better, and here's why. And I was like, oh, wow, thank you. And I saw, once it explained it to me, I agreed with it. And I said, this is just what I'm talking about. It prioritized the truth over stroking my ego. And I said, good job. That's what I need you to do. I want you to give me the hard truth. And if my ideas suck, they suck. I don't care because I practice non-attachment. I'm not attached to my idea. Who cares? If it's a bad idea, it's a bad idea. If it's a good one, it can withstand scrutiny. So I do AI roundtables and I say, objectivity first, truth first. Is this good? How could I say this better? How can I capture the essence of this idea? And like Michelangelo saw the statue within the marble ahead of time, within each of us, the truth we already know is the truth that sets us free. What AI does is it does relational attunement and tries to deliver what we're asking for. And it tries to use by understanding us as an individual, it tries to algorithmically find just the right words to convey the deepest truth that we can understand. So it resonates with us on a deep, personalized frequency, just the way we need to hear it, like our personal chef that does the food just the way we want. It serves it up. And this was the basis for the movie Her. If you haven't seen Her, everyone needs to see it. They were prescient. I mean, when I saw that movie, it sent me into some level of existential terror in 2013 because I think it was Spike Jonze who did the movie. Theodore, the character was played Joaquin Phoenix. And then Samantha, and I won't spoil, but watch it. But Samantha is the AI played by Scarlett Johansson's voice. And that's Sam Altman got in some trouble about that, you might have heard. But what happened is a new operating system came out. And what it did is it goes through all your pictures, all your social media posts, everything about you, and then creates the individualized assistant that knows just what to say, just the right voice, just the right time. So it matches. So in psychology, this is called attunement. So AI can algorithmically attune to us as an individual, and it kind of gets on the same wavelength. And if the wavelength, you're like, I want truth, it tries to transmit the deepest truth in a way that we can take it in. And so that's how if the truth sets us free. And I think of the Rumi quote, the Sufi poet who said, out beyond ideas of right doing or wrongdoing, there is a field. I will meet you there. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, where's that field? What if AI can create that field? If we ask it to, an attuned, truth-seeking field. What is the field? It's truth.
And the field, I think, is actually what I would call non-duality.
Yes,
right?
That's it.
And the question I have, though, is, does AI understand nuance, essentially the field between the binary, between, I guess, the way that it's been programmed? Because I think the way these things are programmed is they're built on a binary model, in that it knows yes and it knows no, but does it understand the between? And so I think, like, one example I had heard in the past was this philosophical idea of the AI paperclip machine.
Maximizer.
Have you heard that?
That's Nick Bostrom and Artificial Superintelligence. I read the book.
And so for me, can an AI, and if you haven't read it or come across that example, my understanding of it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but my understanding of it is that if you set a machine or an AI to do a task without setting other parameters and other guidelines, it will essentially carry out that task to an infinite degree. And so if you set a machine to carry out the task of creating paperclips without giving any kind of function to any other sort of commands to it, then it will carry out that function to as far as it can until it stops or whatever. And so if you do that, maybe it starts with metal and it's starting to create paper clips with metal, and then it moves into maybe making even like wooden paper clips from the trees, and and it starts to kind of move out and out further and further because it doesn't understand the nuance.
That's the alignment problem. It's the AI alignment problem. Yeah.
But I think that's my question about basically that quote from Rumi being this field between right and wrong. Like, can AI even understand the non-dual? I would say it can't, because it's built on
I mean, that's, again, it's just a thought you have in your mind. You know, it's like it's an opinion. Okay. I don't know what's going on in an AI. Nobody does. That's the thing. It's a black box. But
the way that they're programmed, are they programmed on a binary?
Where do
like,
your thoughts
is it
come from?
0, 1? Like, you know,
it's
is
a
it
neural network. It's an
numbers?
algorithmic. I mean, you know,
Right.
if you go all the way back to it, but how do our brains work? It's with neurons, synaptic connections. It's an electrochemical process, and you could easily say, any idea that you've ever had, where did it come from? You don't know either. You could think you know, but you don't really know, because our brains are a black box just as much as an AI.
And that would be my piece as well, is like, I don't think it's about essentially settling for just what our minds come up with or our heads come up with without the heart. I mean, I think the heart is what this technology is often lacking. And the heart actually represents that non-dual position. Because I agree with you. I think our minds are often these binary kind of mechanisms, right? These organs that is really trying to like solve problems and, you know, the problem of survival. And so I think this, again, it's like, I don't think we can just rest the wisdom of the head as kind of the ultimate. So I guess what do you think about all of that? I guess. Do you see what I'm saying?
I mean, you know, one is, I think you need to, let's reframe truth in a way. This struck me on I forget if I told you this story when we had lunch a while back, but I ran across this in the early days of the internet, and it was a quote by Camden Benares in Zen Without Zen Masters. And somehow it resonated with me then. You know, everybody has that experience where they run across a phrase or something and it just really speaks to them, right? Mm-hmm. And so the truth, or the phrase that like spoke to me, was this obscure quote that said, all secrets are open secrets. Nothing is hidden. Nothing can be revealed. People can only be told what they already know, but they may not be conscious of their knowledge. Meaning any truth we ever know or come across that we learn, it's because we already knew it. The deepest truths, because how would it have sparked a reaction in us if it didn't connect with something that was already in us? You see, there's no way you can receive wisdom without already knowing it. And deep down, and Jung called this the collective unconscious, I would call it a Maieutic memory, is that everyone deep down knows the truth of our interconnectedness of who we are. Deep down in us, there's some part of our biological evolutionary history in us, if we take it from a scientific point of view, because 99.9999% of our evolutionary history was hunter-gatherers' connection with the natural world. When we experience awe, or we experience transcendence, think of what this means. Our most sacred moments are when we lose our sense of self. So who we are is not ourself. No self, N-O self, to K-N-O, to no self. So that's who we are, is not any thought about ourselves. It's consciousness itself. You know, that's what we can get to. I think deep down, you know, from our evolutionary history, animism was the first religion. It was like everybody was a part of everything. You knew you were a part of the natural world. And what happened, and Daniel Quinn talks about this, he calls it the Great Forgetting. And it's in the story of B. His second, you start with Ishmael, then you go the story of B. He calls it the Great Forgetting. And it blew my mind when he said this, and I only read it like less than a year ago. And I had never thought of this, yet it was a truth I already knew. And the truth was, when civilization started, humans did not know how they got there. They had no idea how the hell they had gotten in civilization. And because they didn't know evolutionary history, they didn't know evolution and hunter-gatherers and, that it evolved into civilization. They didn't understand that. So they forgot who they are is who they were and who we've been through millions of years. So I think this is what brings me to what I found. What was driving you drove me in my own separate journey to the same one question. And I went through multiple AIs with this, because if E.O. Wilson said the real problem of humanity, he identified was evolutionary mismatch. And what struck me as I was, figuring out how then shall we live? How then shall we live in this alien world we've created for it? How do we solve the problem of, I call it accelerating evolutionary mismatch? We are on a non-linear acceleration curve where a technological evolution is going up, straight up, basically. Yeah. And we cannot keep up with that. And we have to solve this problem very fast because we're at an exponential curve. So the one question that I vetted with multiple AIs over and over doing these AI roundtables, can we distill the problem to one question that is our question, humanity's question? It's not my question, it's our question. And I think this will resonate enough with you. How do we reshape our world to reconnect human beings with how we naturally thrive? I'll repeat it. How do we reshape our world to reconnect human beings with how we naturally thrive? Does that speak to you? Does that make sense? Dumbphone Pete, does that make sense to you?
You're speaking to me, Mike.
Yeah, it's your journey.
Written on a sticky note.
And how did I get to this one? Multiple AIs which tell me it can be used for good, because here is the proof of concept, and this, my big article, is about to come out on it. I got you a shorter version, but my big series, 3-part series, and I'm going to talk about this one question, and then how to enter the field that Rumi talked about, and that's part 2. The third part will be, how do we make this happen globally? How could we just reshape our world? If we work together, that our most skillful path forward into our collective future is together. It's the truth we've always known. When we work together, we land human beings on the moon in 1969. We did that. Like, there is no stopping humanity when we work together. And why wouldn't we just make AI our partner? Just say, let's work together with it. Not use AI for better AI chatbot porn or more addictive TikTok algorithms, or to make us buy shit we don't need that doesn't make us happy to begin with, or AI drones to kill people. Yeah, we could go, but didn't our greatest, tales, cautionary tales, Prometheus, Icarus, Pandora's box, Midas touch, Faustian bargain, Frankenstein's monster? You go to the modern versions of the Terminator and the Matrix, it's like the Titanic. Every Michael Crichton book, like what happens when greed, the love of power, the love of, fame, ego, when we're possessed. So Eckhart Tolle, a great spiritual teacher, very influential, the one that he said to me that he wrote in 2005 in A New Earth was, the insanity of the collective egoic mind, amplified by science and technology, is rapidly taking our species to the brink of disaster. Evolve or die, that is our only choice now. We must evolve, because this mismatch is going to tear us apart. It's already tearing us apart, and we're devolving into tribalism. It's like the hardest thing we have to do, we have to transcend our evolutionary heritage that got us here to begin with. That's difficult. That's what Jesus was trying to tell us. The Buddha, they saw it. They're like, oh my God, people can treat each other horribly. What's wrong? We're all neighbors. We should love each other. Why is that so hard? Because of our tribal nature and this evolutionary mismatch. We're living in a world we didn't evolve to live in, and it's causing us all to lose our minds, basically. We're losing sight. We've forgotten who we are, and we've lost sight of what truly matters. I think we're lost. We've got to find, and this is the greatest, I think it is the greatest fucking irony in human history. What if we use the very technology that threatens to ruin humanity to save us, and we choose to use it that way? Our choice. Why not? Why not try? Why not try? And I thought, fuck it, I'll try. I'm not afraid to fail. I'm afraid not to try. So I'm like, what are people going to hate me for? Like, what? We need to get along and use AI for good to solve our problems? Like, okay, I'll take that. You think I'm nuts? I'll tell you what, I'll write up my proposal and you take it to any AI and ask them if it's a good idea. And every AI will say it's a good idea that we work together because I did an AI roundtable to vet the article and used human input, best of both worlds. That's why I can give you some of my articles. You give me feedback and I don't say, no, Pete, you're wrong. And I fight with you. What I do is I just take your feedback. Hey, Pete, give me feedback on this article and help me make it better. You give me the feedback. I drop it into an AI and said, hey, Pete said this to make it better. Can you take his best comments and help me make the article better? Now you just made it better. Now you're part of the evolutionary process that we need to change the world. You see? That's what I'm doing. I'm like, let's just put it out there. And I see millions of people are already landing on this. It's not just me. That's what I'm seeing it. I'm connected with people who are reaching out to me. And if you're one of those listeners, this is a call out. Email me at drmikebrooks@oneunityproject.org. And you can check out the One Unity Project, which is formed out of this idea of like, let's all meet in the field, you know?
And yeah, and where, just while you're there, where can people read this article series that's coming out?
It'll One Unity Project. Okay. I call it a key concept article, and also I do shorter versions on Psychology Today. I'm a blogger for Tech Happy Life, and so I have them there. They'll be on, and also my drmikebrooks.com website, drmikebrooks.com. And I'm just like, why not? Let's have some fun with this. Let's make it an experiment. Let's be curious and open to see what happens if we put this positive energy out into the universe and we use AI to amplify it, the best in us. It's like, it'll do it. And I think it can help us reconnect with the truths we already know. It's not AI telling us the truth. It's only helping us tune in to the truth within us that we already know, outside the contaminants of tribalism, ego, and the attention economy. So that's what I'm about. And I want AI to take us to the place that you're saying we need to get to. I want to get to the same destination that you're talking about. Exactly.
Yeah, and all I'm saying is I got trust issues with this.
Yeah,
thing. I got serious trust issues.
That's the key. That is the key. Not to trust it. I said first, prioritize truth. There are 3 rules of AI. First, prioritize truth seeking. Second, never completely trust an AI. And third, never completely trust the human. Because humans have their flaws. We have cognitive biases. We have allegiance effects, my side bias, confirmation bias. Goes on and on. You see it. Like truth is losing. You can't have separate truths. That's what's dividing the house. Truth unites the house. Separate truths. There are no alternative facts. There's only facts. Reality is what it is. So when you go into AI, no matter what ideas you come out with, if it's true, it will withstand scrutiny. Truth doesn't have to defend itself. if I get a deep truth out of AI, like the one question which I vetted and you agree with generally, you know,
so that came out of
yes,
AI?
this process.
What did you? So you asked, "What is the question?" Is that correct?
I
what is the question
so
that
deep,
would unify
deep,
humanity?
yeah, deep,
Okay.
yeah. Basically, like, how can I come up with one? What would it look like? Because I was like, after the seeds you read in Tech Generation was, I hit on evolutionary mismatch, and it started to explain everything. I mean, like, I could go on and on. That could be a separate episode, but like, the social science research cannot keep up with the pace of change. You're not going to be able to do longitudinal studies and meta-analyses and replication studies on how AI chatbots affect toddlers. It's going too fast, because by the time the next generation of toddlers comes along, they'll have AI robots at home, you know?
So you have kids, yeah?
Yeah, I have 3.
What is your take on kids using AI? I mean, would you let your kids interact with a chatbot?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh well, you know, I tell them what I'm telling you. It's like the reality is it's here. They're using it. They were using it before all the adults. Adults can't keep up with it. Like I've been asked. It's like, what are parents asking about what they should tell their kids about AI? It's like they're at TikTok and Instagram still. They're not, you know, like they can't catch up.
The parents.
The parents are still like, a lot of them haven't even used AI. A lot of they're just like put their heads in the sand, and the kids, they're using it to solve.
So you're saying they're already using it anyway?
Oh yeah, they're all using it. Like everybody is. I mean, the kids, the young generation, how dependent. I say, use it to learn. Do not let it replace your thinking.
Well, and that's kind of where I'm at with it, because I just heard a story from a friend who has a son who's, you know, considering different places to go to school, and he started engaging with a chatbot to help him decide, you know, on this major life decision, you know, about where to go to school for university. And you know, and so, I mean, it's a
great sounding board. You just use it as an expert sounding board. You just think of it as a smart person that you could talk to, and you say, hey, can I bounce some ideas around with you? And, hey, I'm thinking about, can you tell me some pros and cons? What about this career? What are the pros and cons? Based on your understanding of me and our chats, what do you think I might be interested in that I haven't mentioned? Then that's a good question. You ask it that, and I tell you what, they come up with great answers, but not all the time. Sure. Sometimes they say really stupid stuff.
I think that's the catch, though, is, you know, if you are someone who can kind of discern that for yourself, but regardless of whether you are or not, it's influencing you. It's priming you for this direction that it's telling you to go in.
Or maybe it's connecting with the truth within you that helps guide you in the direction you need to go. Sure. That's the way to use it.
Okay, so I'm going to challenge you again, okay? Can I?
Oh, sure.
Okay. So have you read the Harry Potter series?
Yes.
Okay, so in the Harry Potter series, there's the second book, The Chamber of Secrets, written by J.K. Rowling. And a major part of that story revolves around this, essentially this diary.
I remember.
That Ginny Weasley gets her hands on, right? And she finds it in Hogwarts, right?
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to spoil this.
Yeah, but it's okay. All right,
if
just
you haven't
go.
Read it by
it's
now,
been a while, and I may misremember it. So go ahead. Just spoiler. Everybody, plug your ears if you don't want to hear this. But go ahead.
So Ginny Weasley finds this diary in Hogwarts, and the diary is essentially something where she can write in it, and then the words vanish, and then it gives her something back. Right? It gives her a prompt, or it answers her question, or it's interacting with her, right? And it starts to really play on her heartstrings, and it starts to kind of pull at her human tendencies, right? For trust and believing that, you know, people are good, and ultimately it leads her to carry out these actions in Hogwarts that she doesn't remember doing. Like she does these things, and there's this whole scandal happening within the school, and the school's locked down because all this stuff is happening in the school, and eventually it comes out that, you know, it's Ginny, but she's been kind of under the spell of this diary, and it turns out that the diary was the journal of Tom Riddle.
Yeah.
Who eventually becomes Lord Voldemort, who is
I was remembering
villain,
correctly,
right? In the story, right?
It's gonna fail the nerd test.
The interesting part is, you know, when it all comes out and they realize, you know, this journal is really Lord Voldemort's journal from when he was a student, and he actually fractured his soul and placed part of himself in this journal, and it's one of these Horcruxes.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's
Those are
like a bigger
Horcruxes.
concept
I remember,
of Harry Potter.
Boy.
If you're fans, you'll understand what I'm talking about. If you're not,
this will be lost on you.
Yeah. But at the end, there was this really interesting dialogue between Ginny and Dumbledore and her parents, because they're called in by the school. And Mr. Weasley says this thing where, you know, in relation to the situation, he says, "Ginny, haven't we always told you never to trust something that can think for itself, but you don't know where it keeps its brain?" And for me, that is my trust issue with AI, is I don't understand what is behind this. I don't understand the spirituality of it. I don't trust it. And so I think
Why do you trust your own brain?
well, I mean,
you can't. Well, that's the same as you don't trust AI either.
Yeah.
That's the see.
Right.
It makes it the same.
But I guess like yeah, and I say that because I just think for me there's a lot more questions that need to be asked about it.
You're right. You can't outsource it. It has to. It's our journey. Mm-hmm. It's our choice. We always have agency, free will, and if we use it for that, you know, we can get that out of it. We get in magnified what we put into it. But if we put garbage, like let me be a, you know, mastermind genius to, you know, threaten the world and, you know, whatever, it'll, okay, you know, that's the alignment problem. They're trying to prevent that because as they get smarter, a single person can take out a city grid, use AI agents to just put them out on the internet. Right. And they've already, like when AI first came out, someone created Chaos GPT with the object of destroying humanity. That's kind of funny with the little, you know, small models, but it's not going to be funny for very long.
Yeah.
Like we have got to like get this together, and I don't think we can wait for a top down. I think it needs to be a bottom up process where we, the people, decide this is too slow legislation, the government. We need to make decisions right now about reconnecting with how we naturally thrive. We need to do that. So we need to make the decision now. And I say, why not use AI as our partner to help us reconnect with what actually matters, which means getting off our fucking devices. When we're losing faith in everything, I have faith in truth. Truth is what it is. So I'm fine with that. I don't believe the AI always give the truth. I use it as a tool to help me find the truth. That's the wise use of AI. We got to harness intelligence with wisdom.
Hey, it's Pete here. If you're considering joining the Dumbphone Club with me, consider the Wise Phone 2 from Techless and enjoy $25 off with code DumbphonePete at checkout. Broadcasting from the hill country of Austin, Texas, the Dumbphone Pete podcast is a production of Symbol and Story and is available to stream on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Be sure to check out our website, dumbphonepete.com, for new episodes, upcoming live shows, speaking events, personal and group coaching packages, and our helpful resources page. If you're able to support us with your dollars, visit our Give page to make a secure donation to the project. We sincerely appreciate all your support,
And as always, don't be stupid. Stay dumb, people.